Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're going to be doing a race review of Alabama or Barber Park. So let's go. Let's get right into it. First of all, let's get into the winner. So Scott McLaughlin managed to win the race, which I'm happy that Scott McLaughlin won it, but I was super sad because Romain had an awesome race. He dominated the whole entire race, and then he made that one mistake that caused him to lose the lead. But inevitably, he was on the wrong strategy. Scott McLaughlin was on the better strategy, and he would have eventually overtook him because Grosjean clearly lost a lot of pace. He lost, I think, a total of like 2 or 3 seconds at the end of the race to Scott McLaughlin. So inevitably, even if Grosjean ran the perfect race, Scott would have overtook him eventually. But before I talk about anything else, I just want to talk about how great this race was. There was so much strategy. There was the 2 start with the fuel saving, the tire saving. There was the free start, what was a little more aggressive. You could push more, you could go a little faster, or the 2 start where you would kind of have to be a little slower, but ended up being faster in theory. But obviously, as we've seen, it wasn't actually faster this time. But it wasn't like an F1 race. Like I'm thinking back to if you guys watch F1, if you remember the Mexican Grand Prix last year, they had it was like a tire race where basically no one could race. This race was very much a tire / fuel race, but there was people like Felix Rosenqvist that span in the first lap, and he still managed to recover. And then you had guys like Marcus Armstrong that basically had a really bad qualifying session, but managed to be able to climb through the pack because he still had pace. What was kind of awesome to see. But I'm going to talk about that guy later on in the video. So next up, I want to talk about the yellow flag situation or caution situation we had. So I believe it was around lap 30 or 40. This was the only caution in the race. So Stingray Rob retired, or he had some I don't think they actually told us what happened, but he had some sort of mechanical failure what caused him to be stranded at the side of the road. And then in typical IndyCar fashion, he was sitting at the side of the road for at least a minute before they threw the caution out, because IndyCar wanted to give everyone an opportunity to go into the pit lane, which is fine on paper. I mean, it's reasonable. I get why they do it. But at the same time, it's only a matter of time before something major happens where 2 people, are trying to overtake each other, and then they both take each other out, and then they pile drive straight into the stranded car, and then it's going to cause a huge accident. And then at that point, it would be IndyCar's fault because for some reason they didn't throw a yellow out. It just makes no sense. Just throw a yellow out. As soon as it says if there's a stop car on track, you throw a yellow out. It's not that hard. It doesn't make any sense to me why they keep the track green when there is something on the track. Like, I know, like, it's like in F1, for example, this is what F1 does do right. As soon as there's some car, they throw a yellow out as soon as it's out. Within a few seconds, as soon as someone hits a wall, within 5 seconds there's a flag out. In IndyCar, apparently someone crashes and then they wait like 30 seconds, even a minute, maybe even longer sometimes, and they're like, oh gee, maybe we should throw the yellow out now. It's just frustrating. It's so dumb. Anyway, that's my rant over. I don't know what you guys think about that whole situation, but I don't know. They just really need to fix that whole, make a better system. Next up, I want to talk about some honorable mentions of some drivers that did a really well performance, what I think deserve a mention in this video. So first of all, we're going to talk about Marcus Armstrong, which I think a lot of people know about this, but he started in P26 and he managed to get himself all the way up to P11. And then I believe he also won like an award for like the most overtakes. Well, it was just awesome to see. He got screwed in qualifying yesterday. You can go see how and why. I explained it yesterday in my video. And then he managed to crawl all the way up the field up to 11th. But that was just an awesome play from him. I mean, he's a rookie. He's new to the sport, and the fact that he has that much pace, and I think it really is just a testament to. Plus, he was an F2 driver, and this is the most F1-y circuits so far on the calendar. So I'm excited to see what else comes from him. Next up, I'm going to talk about Christian Longard. He had I guess it was kind of an interesting race for him because he had a I mean, on paper, it looks like an easy race for him. He started in 6th and he ended in 6th. But if you actually watch the race, it wasn't cut and dry. It wasn't just, oh, he started in 6th and he ended up in 6th. He had a very hard race of maintaining it. He had to have some tough battles, like one of the better overtakes. He aggressively overtook Scott Dixon, what was just awesome to see, because I mean, Scott Dixon is like, the IndyCar quote unquote GOAT, and then this rookie called Christian Longard just comes over and just shows him how to race, and it was just that was an awesome overtake, and it was cool to see him perform so well. I know last year, I believe last year he got a podium at Barber. Was it a Barber? I can't remember the exact circuit he got one up, but he got a podium somewhere, and it's cool to see him be competitive again. I am excited to see what else this kid can do. Next up, I want to talk about Felix Rosenqvist too, which is kind of a similar story to Marcus Armstrong, where it was differently. He spinned on the opening lap. He got caught up in some incident, and then he was way down there into the back of the field, and then he ended up in P9, what was just awesome to see. The recovery he made was just awesome to see. Him able to crawl his way back up. Next up, I'm going to talk about some of the guys who actually didn't really have that good of a race, like Joseph Newgarden. He got caught up in an incident on the early stages of the Grand Prix, and then I think he may have had damage. I'm not really too sure, but he didn't really have that much pace towards the end of the race. He ended up like, I think it was P16. For Joseph Newgarden, he's pretty consistent. He's normally always within the top 10. So to see him have a bad race is kind of unfortunate. Rinus VK too, he had a really bad race. I mean he's not always in the top 10, but generally he's pretty good at Barber, so I'm kind of surprised to see him way down there, but that's kind of unfortunate for him. Colton Herter again, he had an okay race. He ended up P14, and above him was actually Callum Eilert. So, and this is kind of a thing I've always said about Colton Herter is I love Colton Herter. On his day, he's an awesome driver. He can outperform anyone. He can run circles around people on his day. But his problem is he can't get that consistency. He can be dominating one race by 40 seconds, and then the next weekend he's P16. Just like he really needs to work on that consistency. I think once he can get that down, I think he can win a championship. But I'm just hoping to see more from him. Next up, I want to talk about someone interesting. I want to talk about Jack Harvey. This is kind of off topic from the whole race. It's mainly just at Jack Harvey as a whole. There's been a few things around Jack Harvey, whether his future in IndyCar, what he's gonna do, if he's gonna stay with the team he's with right now. Because I know he's had some interesting feuds with Graham. Like I don't know if anyone noticed it in the feed yesterday. Graham actually did something to Graham. I think he got in Graham's way, and then Graham kind of, put his hand up to him. So it's kind of interesting I don't know if he's going to be in the team forever if he keeps, pissing Graham off. I mean, Graham's dad owns the team, right? And I'm sure Graham has some control in the team, so I don't know. I feel like unless he can really start performing, of course the car is obviously not a top level car, so I can't see him having any ultra performance, but I think he needs some level. Maybe he needs to be on par with Graham or out qualifying Graham, maintain his seat. But I don't know, tell me what you guys think about Jack Harvey's future. I like him personally. He seems like a good guy, but he needs to put the results in and be showing he deserves his seat. And maybe if he can show that, maybe he can get picked up by another team. Because I do think he's a good driver and he deserves his seat. He just needs to prove it. Because as we seen last weekend in Long Beach, he actually had a really good qualifying, and then I think he managed to finish within the top 20, which is what obviously comparison is not like that great, but for him it's actually a pretty good result, and for the team. So maybe if he can have a few more star races where he can prove himself, he can either maintain his seat or some other team, maybe a bigger team, can pick him up. That'll be cool to see. So yeah, tell me what you guys think about that. Next up, I want to talk about Grosjean again. So I covered Grosjean a bit in the beginning of the video, but I wanted to elaborate on here. I just wanted to talk about his amazing drive he had, which I was kind of confused at, and so he, towards the end of the race, he didn't have any push to pass left, and I was looking up that kind of on the internet about it, and apparently I don't know what happened. Did he use all his push to pass, or did his push to pass glitch and he didn't have all of it, because he seemed to not have all of it. It's kind of interesting what happened to it. It kind of all just disappeared out of nowhere. Like 1 minute he had it and the next minute he didn't show it. I don't know if there's a... I know they sometimes show it in the commentary, like how many seconds they have it left, but I would wish they would sometimes like preview, like go over to that screen a little more just so I can see where he had it. Was 1 minute he had like all his seconds, and all of a sudden he had no push to pass left, and it was just like, what? Where did all your seconds go? It's so weird. You don't really generally see people run out of push to pass in the middle of a race. Normally they can't use their push to pass, but they're like, hey guys, the fuel, and he was on a 2-stop too, so he was meant to be saving fuel the whole race. So I don't understand how he was using the push to pass if he was saving fuel. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But tell me in the comments if you know, because I didn't understand it, but whatever. And then lastly, I want to talk about Will Power. Will Power had a great race too. I believe he started in P11 and he managed to get a podium. What's awesome for him. He almost got Grosjean actually. So yeah, that's gonna be about it for the video. That was an awesome race. I really enjoyed that. This is exactly what IndyCar is about, and I'm so excited. It's almost the month of May. The month of May is going to be exciting. We got the Indy Grand Prix, and then we got the 500. I'm super excited. I'm going to be hopefully creating tons of new content in the month of May, trying to pump out as much as possible, covering everything. I'm going to be covering all the sessions, whatever. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you tell me what you think about the race. Did you think the race was as good as I thought it was? Maybe I'm just overhyping the race. I've not really read a whole lot about the race, but in my opinion, it's definitely one of the better races. Well, to be honest, all the races this year have been just awesome races, but I love this race especially for me. It's been an awesome race because it's just kind of proved that, cautions you don't need cautions for it to be a good race, because like that's kind of the perspective of like NASCAR. Like, the only reason NASCAR races are interesting is because there's cautions, wrecks, drama. This race wasn't really that drama filled. There was one caution and it wasn't even a real accident. It was a mechanical retirement. So it's awesome to see IndyCar be able to produce good racing without caution. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I'll see you guys later. Bye.